Yo, so I have been deep diving with a friend of mine. It's great to have deep diving buddies. Because like when you're deep diving in something and then another person is also in their bag of what it is that they're zooming into, and then you come back to each other and then you share your notes of what you found. Chef's kiss. It's beautiful. Okay, cool. So let me dive into all of this. Essentially, we've been talking, my friend and I, Bessie and I, we've been talking a lot about gut health, understanding the gut, how all of this actually shows up. A recent study actually would have come out in 2024. I got to go and look for the article so I'm able to actually peruse it. But they have come to, as far as I'm concerned, a very obvious thing. But of course, science has to go through all their checks and balances to ensure that the information is correct. Usually, things that we have already intuited and a lot of our ancestral and indigenous practices have clocked from ever since. So, fundamentally, one of the things that they're actually looking at is how your brain essentially has its own microbiome, the same way that your gut does, which to me feels very obvious, but also we can acknowledge that this has an impact in our ability to conceptualize the world. What are the things that we're able to actually interface with? What are the things that cause any sort of reactions? All of it, all of it, all of it. And the beauty of this is because we're able to see that not only is it a case that we have neurons in our brain, we also have neurons in our heart, and we also have neurons in our gut. And what I had said to my friend the other day is that the thing that is the common thread throughout all of it comes back to the breath as well. So when we're able to conceptualize that our diaphragmatic breathing, which essentially allows for all of the fascia that runs from our gut all the way to our brain to be interconnected, when we are actually allowing for this rhythmic pumping, this manual pumping for us to actually consciously breathe, this is also something that is going to have a direct impact on our ability to stimulate our gut health and our gut's intelligence because of the neurons that are there, the heart's intelligence because of the neurons that are there, and then of course, for our brain. So we want to be able to actually experience this level of synchronization of all three of those areas so that we are able to essentially have a 3-in-1 experience, more so than trying to do everything with your brain, where that leads to, I've seen it in my own life, when I am actually shallow breathing, it automatically leads to analysis paralysis because it puts me in a sympathetic fight, flight, fawn, freeze sort of state where then I just feel like, oh, I can't do anything, and then everything just kind of shuts down. So, something that actually came to me very recently that I wanted to tap into that is tying all of this beautifully together. This is the amazing thing about just one, trusting yourself, but also a term that I don't know if I've coined it, if it's already existed, it's probably already existed, but I like the idea of cross keynoting. You can kind of see things over space and time and see how they're all interconnecting. One of the things that we get into in human design is that we essentially look at these different energy types. You can pause this video if you actually wanted to see essentially where you could potentially fall. Of course, you're utilizing your birthday, your birth time, and all this other stuff, which then gives you an energetic imprint to be able to let you know what it is that you're working with. Now, for generators, the core theme with us is always your gut. We have these sacral responses. Our body is either going or to something, right? And you're feeling the visceral reaction to it. Now, one of the things that I was saying to my friend is that I find that to be so interesting because when I first like tapped into human design, I really started to deep dive in it. Intuitively, I had this vision that kind of like flashed in my mind where I was like, oh, is it like consensus where all of the cells in your body are almost like all collectively raising their hand to say, yes, we want this, and or collectively they're like, no, we don't want that, right? And it becomes a very stark response. And then we spend a lot of time, this is kind of an aside, we spend a lot of time trying to not rock the boat, especially if you have an open emotional solar plexus. I'll dive into that at another point in time, but really to be able to see how, like, your body knows. Your body already has the intelligence for things. It knows exactly how it wants to respond to something. And we sometimes trick ourselves because, oh, we don't want to, we want to be nice, we want to be cute, we want to ensure that everybody's feelings are taken care of, when in actuality, you're actually compromising yourself, which then leads to issues later down the road. So you could as well just deal with the thing in the moment. So, as I'm diving into this idea of around the generator and understanding it's about our gut, it's about us being able to trust our gut. So, that's why for 66% of us, and maybe this percentile has actually shifted since this study was done in 2015, you're able to see very clearly that when your gut health is good, it has a reverberant impact on everything else. So a lot of the times when people are like, "Oh, just think positively, do these things, oh, it's like 10 steps to success, da 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 da," all of these things, it doesn't necessarily support everybody across the board, because now we have to take into consideration what is the body's wellness and what is it uniquely asking for to ensure that it is operating in a state of vitality. Most recently, one of the things that I was able to acknowledge, because everything with regards to the generator is us doing what feels good to us. That's that's just it. There's nothing else around that. It is just us being able to tap into what feels good to us. And so very recently, as I was there and I was finding that I had this a bit of a cycle around feeling like, and this is just a narrative of course, earlier conditioning that says you have to like finish your homework first, then you have to go and do whatever it is, like, do the enjoyable things. And I had to shatter that, and I was like, well, why can't I actually feel good now and also do the things that I'm supposed to be doing, or that I know that I would like to be able to do, and just tap into that and allow that to just take its natural cycle. And I've noticed how just being able to put on like a playlist, feel the vibe, I'm getting into my body, I'm just like, oh, just like that. It's easy, just like that. And it actually allows me to be attuned to what are the tasks that I either need to outsource or just cut altogether. Because it's easy to kind of think, oh, I should do this, I should do this. If I just do X, Y, Z, we'll definitely be able to reach X, Y, Z. And it's like, no. What is it that you are actually open to? What is your body receptive to? This is why I am constantly talking about trusting the body, trusting the form, allow the body to lead. And this is across the board for any energy type. Trust in that deep, deep, deep cellular intelligence. Get into the breath. Slow down, settle in. And you'd be surprised what gets revealed to you, that your life could actually be a lot simpler than you initially thought it was.